Dear students, in this video, we are going to discuss 30 best MCQs related to Mauryan dynasty. So we have gone through the previous year question papers, and out of all the questions asked, we have selected 30 of the best MCQs and we have arranged them in chronological order so that you can revise the entire chapter in one stretch. Fine, because we at Vidya Group believe that the time is most important, at least for a student, because you have so much to cover. So we have arranged this in chronological order, logical sequencing. So let's begin. Let's have a look at the first question. So student, the first question is, who was the ruler of Magad? Please mind the question, ruler of Magad. So what was Magad? So Magad is the ancient name of the region of Bihar and eastern Uttar Pradesh. So what was the capital of Magad? Patliputra or Patna. So the question is, who was ruling over Magad when Alexander invaded India? So Alexander came to India in 326 BC. Fine. And we know about the famous fight between Alexander and Porus. But Porus was not the ruler of Magad. Fine. He was the ruler of a small kingdom on the banks of river Ravi. Fine. So Porus was not the ruler of Magad. You have to remember this. The question is, who was the ruler of Magad? So ruler of Magad was practically the ruler of entire North India at that time. So that is what they are asking in this question. So out of these four, Ghananand, Vasumitra, Padmanand and Ambhikumara. So who was the ruler of Magad at that time? Ghananand is the answer. Ghananand was the ruler. So Ghananand did nothing when Alexander attacked India. But Ghananand was a very powerful ruler. He had a very big army. So that's why Alexander's army refused to proceed any further because they were scared of Ghananand's army. He had a huge army. That's why Alexander never fought a war with Ghananand, and his army asked him that let's return back. So Ghananand, and he is the same king. Ghananand is the person who insulted Chanakya. He is the same person who insulted Chanakya. Now, why did he insult Chanakya? Because Chanakya went to Ghananand to request to him that Alexander has come to India, so you should fight with Alexander. So Ghananand said that I don't know who Alexander is. Why should I be taking advice from you? So that is how he insulted Chanakya. So that's a different story. So let's move to next question. So the question is, after a series of battles, Chandragupta Maurya overthrew the Nand ruler Ghananand. We just learnt about Ghananand and laid the foundation of Mauryan Empire in which year? So Alexander came to India in 326 BC. So this is a very important landmark that you have to remember. So as soon as Alexander came to India, Chanakya became enemy of Ghananand. Ghananand. So Chanakya started training Chandragupta Maurya. So Chandragupta Maurya was just a small boy then. So Chanakya started giving training to Chandragupta Maurya, and Chandragupta Maurya fought a series of battle. It was not that Chandragupta overthrew Ghananand in a single day. So he had to fight a series of battle. So this took some amount of time. So the question is, in which year was Ghananand overthrown and replaced by Chandragupta Maurya? So when Chandragupta Maurya became the next emperor or the new ruler, so it was then that Mauryan Empire came into existence. So in which year did that happen? So please remember, Alexander attacked India in 326 BC. So 5 years later, Chandragupta Maurya was successful in overthrowing Ghananand. So the answer would be 321 BC. 321 BC. So since this is before Christ, so 5 years later. Don't get confused that 321 is 5 less than 226. No, we are talking about BC. So answer is 321 BC. Now let's move to next question. So the question says that the decline of Nanda dynasty at the hand of Kautulya. So who is this guy Kautil? Kautil is another name of Chanakya. So Chanakya is known by many names, Kautilya, Vishnugupta. So which which Sanskrit play written by Kalidas mentions the story of Chanakya and Chandragupta's attempt to overthrow the Nanda dynasty? We know that Ghananand was overthrown by Chandragupta with the help of Chanakya. So which Sanskrit play written by Kalidas tells that story? So we have four options. So out of four options, the answer is Malvikagni Mitram. So what is this Sanskrit play all about? Let us discuss. So Malvikagni Mitram is story of a king known as Agni Mitra. So Agni Mitra was a king belonging to Shung dynasty. Shung dynasty. So Shung dynasty was the dynasty that came to power immediately after Mauryan dynasty. So it is the story of Agni Mitra. So in this play, this story of Chandragupta and Chanakya overthrowing Ghananand is also mentioned. So very commonly asked question, you have to remember Malvikagni Mitram is the answer. Let's move to next one. So the next question is, with which of the following centers of learning Chanakya, the famous teacher of Chandragupta Maurya, was associated? So we know that Chanakya was a teacher. He was a Brahmin. He was a Pandit. He was a learned scholar. So profession wise, he was a teacher. So the question is, at which university did he used to teach? So we know that in ancient India there were very magnificent universities. Question is, where did Chanakya used to teach? The answer is Takshashila. What is this Takshashila? Takshashila was the capital of Gandhar province. Capital. So it was the capital of Gandhar. So when Alexander have come to India, so he was basically roaming in Gandhar Mahajanpad. So that's why Chanakya went to Patliputra. From Takshashila, he went to Patliputra to request Ghananand that you are the most powerful king of India right now. So it is your responsibility that you fight with Alexander. And in return, he was insulted by Ghananand. So this is the entire story that took place at that time. So what is the answer? Chanakya was a professor at Takshashila University. If somebody asks where was Takshashila University located, you will say in ancient time it was located in Gandhar Mahajanpad. Today there is no more Gandhar Mahajanpad. So Takshashila University today's modern day Pakistan. So today if somebody will try to find its location, it will be in Pakistan. So let's move to the next one. So the next question is, Chandragupta Maurya fought a successful war between 305 and 303 BC against which of the Greek rulers who was successor of Alexander's territory in northwestern India? Now understand the meaning of this question. So Alexander had come to India and he was active only in northwestern part of India. He did not enter much deeper into India. So Alexander have occupied a few territories. So the what Alexander used to do, that he used to create new cities. You can see Alexandria. So all these are city founded by Alexander. So Alexander had come to India in 326 BC, but he returned back to his native place and he died in his way. That means he did not enter much deep into India. So when Alexander was dead, what happened to these territories? So these territories were occupied by his successor, Alexander's successor. So the question is, who was Alexander's successor? These territories were controlled by whom after Alexander's death? So that Chandragupta Maurya had to fight with that ruler to get back these territories, because these were Indian territories occupied by Alexander. So now Chandragupta Maurya wanted to get it back. So with whom did Chandragupta Maurya fight? Answer is Seleucus Nicator. Seleucus Nicator is the answer. So you have to remember what was the outcome of this battle. It is written here, successful. Who was successful? Chandragupta Maurya was successful. So Chandragupta Maurya was able to defeat Seleucus Nicator. So Seleucus Nicator, when he understood that Chandragupta Maurya is a very powerful king, so he signed a peace agreement with Chandragupta Maurya. So after getting defeated, Seleucus Nicator did two things to maintain friendly relations with Chandragupta Maurya. First thing, that he married his daughter married his daughter to Chandragupta Maurya. So you can say that Chandragupta Maurya, one of the wives, because Chandragupta Maurya had many wives. So one of those wives was Greek. Greek. Why Greek? Because she was the daughter of Seleucus Nicator. The second thing Seleucus Nicator did was that he sent his representative in Chandragupta Maurya's court. So representative means ambassador. So he sent an ambassador in Chandragupta Maurya's court. So what was the name of that ambassador? Very important fact. Megasthenes was the name of this ambassador. So this ambassador used to live in Chandragupta Maurya's palace. Because he was the ambassador, he have to maintain diplomatic relation between Seleucus Nicator and Chandragupta Maurya. So let's move to next one. So dear student, the next question is, what is the name of the book written by Megasthenes? So who is Megasthenes? He is the ambassador sent by Seleucus Nicator. So he used to live with Chandragupta Maurya only. So he had lived in India for so many years. So he have seen India with his own eyes. So he had written a book about India. So what was the name of that book? The answer is Indica. India, Indica. So it will be easy for you to remember. And you must remember one more fact. So Megasthenes is known as the father of Indian history. Why? Because he is the first person, or you can say the first book, historical book about India was written by Megasthenes only. See, we have got books like Vedas, which were written much earlier, but Vedas, they are not history books. They are not history. But what Megasthenes wrote can be considered history. That's why he is known as the father of Indian history. Very important fact. Now let's move to next one. So the next question is, which of these places was described by Megasthenes as the center of Krishna worship? So Lord Krishna. So Lord Krishna was known as Vasudev Krishna. So Megasthenes have observed that Mathura, because Mathura is the birthplace of Lord Krishna. According to mythology or according to legends, Lord Krishna was born in a village in Mathura. So even today, if you visit Mathura, you will get to see very large temples dedicated to Lord Krishna. So answer is Mathura. Who wrote this? Megasthenes wrote this. Where did he write this? In his book Indica. So we have selected questions in chronological order. I hope you are enjoying this video. So you have to not only enjoy this video, but you have to be very, very attentive, because the purpose of studying with Vidya Guru is that we make your dreams come true. Fine. So you have to comment in this video. If you like this video, please, if you like our video, so please give a like to us on YouTube. You can subscribe to our channel. You can also share our video with your friends. Fine. So that helps us, that gives us a kind of feedback, and it encourages us to bring more such videos for you in future, because it takes lot of time to make these kind of videos, because these are not some random MCQs. Our team has done proper research, proper care, only then we have selected these MCQs, and that also in chronological order. So anyways, let's continue. So the next question is, Chandragupta Maurya spent last days of his life at which place? So four options are given here: Takshashila, Sravan Belgola, Tamralipta, and Amravati. So what is this story? What is meant by last days of his life? See, Chandragupta Maurya was an emperor. His capital was at Patliputra, was his capital. What actually happened is that when he was ruling, so his country, I mean his kingdom, suffered 12-year long famine. There was no rainfall, crops were failing, there was no food for people to eat. So lakhs and lakhs of people died. So Chandragupta Maurya was the king. So he thought that I must have done something wrong, because of which gods are punishing me. Because if king does something wrong, the entire kingdom is punished. So Chandragupta Maurya thought, he was a very religious person. So he thought that I will do something to repent. He wanted to repent his mistakes. So that's why he left his throne. He said that I don't want to be king anymore. So he left his throne. He made Bindusara. Bindusara was his son. So he left the throne, he abdicated the throne, he made his son Bindusara the ruler, and he left for South India. He went to South India, he went to Karnataka, and he started living in Sravan Belgola. Answer is Sravan Belgola. So you can see this cave. So this is a cave in Sravan Belgola. Where is Sravan Belgola? It is in Karnataka. So he went there to give up his life. He thought that I have done something seriously wrong. So it's time for me to die. So this cave is known as Bhadrabahu cave. Now you will ask me that why this is known as Bhadrabahu cave, why this is not known as Chandragupta Maurya cave. So this is known as Bhadrabahu cave because Bhadrabahu was the teacher of Chandragupta Maurya. He was the spiritual teacher of Chandragupta Maurya. So Bhadrabahu have also gone to Sravan Belgola. He had gone with Chandragupta Maurya because he was his spiritual teacher. That's why this cave is known as Bhadrabahu. Both Chandragupta Maurya and Bhadrabahu, both of them went to this place, and ultimately Chandragupta Maurya committed, you can say, he gave up his life willingly. He stopped taking food, he stopped taking water so that he may die. So that is what he did in Sravan Belgola. The cave is known as Bhadrabahu cave. So let's move to the next one. So the next question is, which Jain monk accompanied Chandragupta Maurya to South India? So which Jain monk accompanied? We just saw that his spiritual teacher, Chandragupta Maurya's spiritual teacher, who was a Jain monk, because Chandragupta Maurya was also a Jain. So why the teacher and Chandragupta Maurya have gone to Shravan Belgola? Because Chandragupta Maurya wanted to die. He wanted to give up his life. So he chose the process known as Sallekhana. So Sallekhana is a Jain practice. So if somebody wants to repent, somebody thinks that he have done some mistake and he wants to seek forgiveness from God and he wants to end up his life, so there is a method known as Sallekhana. So in Sallekhana you stop taking food, you stop taking water, so that slowly gradually you die peacefully. So who was the Jain monk who went along with Chandragupta Maurya? So we just discussed Bhadrabahu was his name, and we just saw that there was a cave known as Bhadrabahu cave. So Bhadrabahu is the answer for this one. So next question is, which provincial governor of Chandragupta Maurya constructed Sudarshan Lake in Girnar, which is in Saurashtra of Gujarat? So now Chandragupta Maurya noticed that there is a famine, situation of famine, people are dying. So he thought of getting one lake constructed. So in this same question you get so many information. What was the name of that lake? Sudarshan Lake. So you can see here, so there is this hill, you can see a hill here. So this hill is known as Girnar Hill. So you see, we have selected MCQ such that in same MCQ you get multiple piece of information. So this hill is known as Girnar Hill. So where is Girnar Hill situated? It is situated in Saurashtra region of Gujarat. So you can see a lake here. So this lake was built on orders of Chandragupta Maurya. So Chandragupta Maurya ordered one of his governors. So who was the governor of Saurashtra, who on orders of Chandragupta Maurya built this lake? The name of the lake is Sudarshan Lake. So the answer is Pushyagupta. Pushyagupta was the provincial governor who followed or who carried out the construction of Sudarshan Lake. So dear students, if you are preparing for any competitive exams, which I hope you are, that's why you are watching this video, and if you are really serious, if you are not that kind of student who just prepares but is not serious, then it's a different story. But if you are really serious, you can reserve one seat for yourself by preparing with us. So if you have willpower, we have the exact and the effective course material for each and every exam. So if you are preparing for any exam, be it SSC, banking, any exam, CLAT, CTAT, NRA, you can trust us. Fine. You our if you look at our reviews, you will understand that how Vidya Guru managed to beat all its competitors. So this is our URL. If you are preparing for any competitive exams, please visit our website once, and whatever exam you are preparing for, you will get detailed information about the courses that we provide. You will get detailed exact information that how many videos will you be getting, how many lectures would you be getting, what are the different tests that you will be given along with it. So that is applicable for any course, any exam that you are preparing for. So please visit our website at least once. You will immediately feel the difference. It will be one of the best decisions of your career. So if you have to purchase any course, please give Vidya Guru the priority. At least visit our website once. Fine. So let's move to the next question. So the next question is, who replaced Megasthenes as the ambassador of the Syrian king Antiochus in the court of Chandragupta's son Bindusar? So till now we have studied that Chandragupta Maurya had good relationship with Seleucus Nicator, and Seleucus Nicator was a Greek, and Seleucus Nicator had sent an ambassador known as Megasthenes. So Megasthenes. So when Chandragupta Maurya died, his son Bindusara became the next emperor, Bindusara. And Seleucus Nicator was replaced by Antiochus. Antiochus. Antiochus was also a Greek, but he was the ruler of Syria, because being a Greek does not mean that you are ruler only of Greece. So these were Greek people who had come and settled here. So he was basically the ruler of Syria. So Bindusara and Antiochus had become very friendly. They used to share very friendly relation. You have to remember something, that Greeks and Mauryans, they were very friendly relationship throughout the history. So the question is, what was the name of the ambassador which Antiochus have sent in Bindusara's court? So that is why they are asking, which ambassador replaced Megasthenes? So basically, what was the name of the ambassador sent by Antiochus I? So in this same question, you will find multiple information. Antiochus was the king of Syria. He was very good friend of Bindusara. So now coming to the question, what was the name of the ambassador sent by Antiochus? So the answer is Diomachus. Diomachus. This is the answer. Now let's move to next one. So next question is, which Mauryan ruler conquered 16 states comprising the land between the two seas? So if this is India, you will see this side is Arabian Sea and this side is Bay of Bengal. So land between two seas. So some 16 kingdoms which lied between these two boundaries of India. So which Mauryan ruler conquered these 16 states, and how do we know this? So there was a Tibetan monk who was also a Buddhist historian. So his name is Taranath. So multiple information. Taranath was a Tibetan. He was a Buddhist historian who have written about history of India. So in his book, Taranath have mentioned this fact that there was this Mauryan king who managed to conquer 16 states. So what was the name of that Mauryan king? The answer is Bindusara. Bindusara. This is the answer. So who is Bindusara? Bindusara is Chandragupta Maurya's son and Ashoka's father. So Chandragupta Maurya, his son is Bindusara, and Bindusara's son is Ashoka. So this is the family tree, you can say. Let's move to next one. So next question is, Bindusara requested his friend and Syrian king Antiochus to send him 3 gifts. Which of the following was not among the 3 requests made by him? So as we already discussed, Bindusara and the Syrian king Antiochus, they have very good friendly relation, diplomatic relation. So there is this story that Bindusara had asked his friend Antiochus that you send me 3 gifts. So 4 options are given here. Question is, he had asked for 3 gifts, but here 4 are mentioned. So which one is wrong? Which one gift he did not ask was not among the 3 requests? So let us see. He had asked for a sophist. Yes, this is true. Sophist. Sophist means religious teacher and philosopher. So yes, this is correct. Bindusara had asked for a sophist. Sweet wine. This is also correct. He had asked for sweet wine. Dried fig. This is also correct. He had asked for dried fig. But Bindusara never asked for Arabian white leopard. So it means this is the correct answer, that Bindusara asked the remaining three objects, but he did not ask for Arabian white leopard. So let me tell you the further story. So he had requested three gifts, but Antiochus sent him only two gifts. Antiochus sent him wine. Antiochus sent him fig. By the way, what is fig? It is a type of fruit. It is a fruit. But he did not send sophist. Sophist is a religious scholar, philosopher. Antiochus said that the rule, the Greek law, he was a Greek ruler, so Greek law does not allow him to send a philosopher. So that's why he had made three requests. Out of three gifts, two were fulfilled. So let's move to next one. So the question is, Bindusara appointed his eldest son Sushima as the governor of which place, and his second son Ashoka as the governor of which place? So Bindusara had many sons. So eldest son was Sushima. So Sushima was supposed to become the next ruler, but Ashok killed him. Ashok killed his elder brother Sushima, and that is how Ashok became the next ruler. But the question is, so these two prominent sons of Bindusara. So Bindusara, when he was the king, he had appointed his sons as governors of various provinces. So which province was Sushima the governor of, and which province was Ashoka the governor of? So let's have a look at this map. So when we teach, so we at Vidya Guru believe in teach. It's not only about teaching. You have to learn. You have to understand. So now let's have a look of the map of Mauryan dynasty. So here is Takshashila. Here is Ujjain. So what Bindusar did was he sent Sushima to Takshashila and Ashoka to Ujjain, so that they may not fight, they may remain at distant places. So if they remain at 1,000 kilometers away, they will not fight. So Sushima was sent to Takshila, Ashoka was sent to Ujjain. You have to remember this. So Ashoka spent much time in Ujjain. So when Ashoka became, so Ashoka was well aware of Madhya Pradesh region, because Ujjain is in Madhya Pradesh. So when Ashoka became emperor, that's why he built most beautiful stoop, Sachi Stoop. Sachi Stoop is where? It is in Madhya Pradesh. So that's why when Ashoka had the opportunity, the most beautiful stupa was not built in Patliputra. It was built in Madhya Pradesh. Why? Because Ashok loved Madhya Pradesh. Once upon a time, he was the governor of Ujjain. So it will be easy for you to remember. Now let's move to next. So the next question is, Bindusara had to send Ashok to crush the rebellion at which of these places? So we just now learned that Ashok was the governor of Ujjain. What actually happened, that there was a revolt at Takshashila. Revolt at Takshashila. So Sushima was present here. Sushima was the governor, but Sushima could not control the revolt. So Sushima could not control the revolt. That's why Bindusar asked Ashok that you march with your army to Takshashila. So answer is Takshashila. So the next question is, which of the following titles is not attributed to Mauryan king Ashoka? So from Ashokan pillar and Ashokan rock inscriptions, we find, or archaeologists and historians have found out, that King Ashoka was known by many names. He had many names. So out of those many names, which one is not true? So let us see. Dev Nam Piya. Yes, this is one of the names of Ashoka. So Dev Nam Piya means beloved of God. So one who is loved by gods. God. Dev means God. Piya means beloved. We will come to this later. Chand Ashok. So yes, Chand Ashok is also true. Chand means wicked, cruel, cruel Ashok. So why Ashok is known as Chand Ashok? Because he killed 99 of his brothers. So he has killed his brothers. So he was very cruel in his initial days when he was a young man. In an attempt to become the king, he killed all his brothers so that there is no competition. So that's why one of his names is Chand Ashok. Now coming to this name, Piyadasi. So yes, this is also one of the names of Ashok. So when Ashok became a sober man, when he gave up cruelty, so his name was Piyadasi. Piyadasi means soft spoken. Soft spoken, or one who speak pleasantly, pleasant spoken. So all these three names are of Ashok. What about this? Amitra Ghat. Amitra Ghat was the name of Bindusara. Bindusara, Amitra Ghat, and not Ashoka's name. So Bindusara is the answer, because all the other names are of Ashok only except Amitra Ghat. So Amitra Ghat was the name of Bindusar. The next question is about third Buddhist council. So some statements are given here and we have to decide which statement is true, which is false. So what are Buddhist councils? So in the entire history of Buddhism, there have been 4 Buddhist councils. So what were these Buddhist councils? They were like conferences called by big rulers or big emperors. So in these conferences or in these councils, great and respected Buddhist monks were called, and they used to gather at a place and then they used to discuss. So we have had 4 Buddhist councils. So you can have a look at their summary here. So now since we are interested only in third Buddhist council, so let us see the details of third Buddhist council. So third Buddhist council was called by King Ashok. What was the venue? Venue was Patliputra, which is today known as Patna. The chairman, or you can say head monk, head priest was Mogaliputra. And in which year was it held? It was held in 250 BC. So let us compare these facts with the given statements. So first statement, it was convened by Ashoka Maurya at Patliputra. Is this true? So yes, it is true. So this statement is true. Second statement, the council was presided over by chief priest Sabkami. So who was the chief priest of third Buddhist council? It was Mogliputra and not Sabkami. You can see Sabkami was the head priest of second council. So this statement is false. Now coming to third statement. It was held at around 230 BC. So you can see the date. It is not 230 BC but 250 BC. So this is also false. So which option is correct? Only one. So this is correct. Let's move to next one. So next question is, when did Kaling War take place? So what was Kaling War? So Kaling War took place when Ashoka invaded Kaling. So what is Kaling? So it is modern day Odisha. Modern day Odisha. In ancient India it was known as Kaling. So Ashoka invaded Kaling and very large scale war was fought and lakhs of people died. So there was heavy bloodshed. Many people, lakhs of people died. So later on, Ashoka regretted that just to win a piece of land, I got lakhs of people killed. So that is the episode known as Kaling War. So in which year Kaling War took place? Very important fact. 261 BC. So this is the correct answer. So after this Kaling War only, Ashoka was a Jain because his father and grandfather were Jain. So Ashoka converted from being a Jain to Buddhism. So that is how he converted in Buddhism, because he regretted that because of this battle, because of my greed, lakhs and lakhs of people were killed. So Kaling War took place in 261 BC. So now, dear students, when you will visit our website, which I hope you would, so if each and every detail is mentioned already, but in case if you still have any doubt, you can see in the screen these two numbers are given. You can call at these number on these numbers if you have any query related to how the courses are delivered or any query under the sun. You can call on these numbers and talk to our customer care. In case if you feel like sending a mail, you can send a mail as well, and this is our email ID. Fine. So let's proceed. And I would request you again and again, if you like this video, please do hit the like button and subscribe the Vidya Guru YouTube channel, because in future if we upload these kind of videos, because we keep on uploading these kind of videos for your benefit, so that the video you get a notification at least. Fine. So please kindly subscribe to our channel. So it's a humble request to all of you. Being a teacher, this is the least that I can ask from you. This is like a Guru Dakshina you can give to me. So now let us proceed. So the next question is, Ashokan pillar and rock inscriptions are written using 4 scripts. Which of the following script is not used in any Ashokan inscription? Now, what is script? So, scripts are the symbols used to write any language. For example, what you are looking on your screen is English. So, English is a language. Alphabet is a script. So I would say this is script ABC. This is script and this is the language. So in the same way, King Ashok also used to use different languages and different scripts, because if you have a look, so his empire was very vast. So if you look in today's India, in some places Tamil is spoken, in some places Telugu is spoken. So you need different alphabet to write Tamil, you need different alphabet to write Telugu. So same was the case back then. That is why King Ashok was using 4 different scripts. So the question is, 5 options are given. So out of these 5 scripts, which script is not part of these 4 scripts? So answer would be Devanagari. So what is Devanagari? Devanagari is the symbol used to write modern Hindi. Ka kha ga. So this is Devanagari script which is used to write Hindi. So there was no Devanagari script during that time because there was no Hindi at that time. So Devanagari script is the answer. But you have to learn a few more additional facts. So we now know that 4 scripts, Brahmi, Kharoshthi, Aramaic and Greek were used by Ashoka. Now where was these used? We know that Bengali is spoken in West Bengal. Tamil is spoken in Tamil Nadu. So let us understand where were these scripts used. So this place is Afghanistan. Afghanistan. So 2 scripts were used here. Aramaic and Greek. So these were used in Afghanistan, and these were also used in Afghanistan. So Aramaic basically means Syrian, because as we already discussed, Mauryan Empire had very good relationship with Syrian kings. So Aramaic and Greek script can be found in the pillars and rock inscriptions made in Afghanistan. Kharoshthi. Kharoshthi was used in northwestern India, which you can say modern day Pakistan. Modern day Pakistan. Now Brahmi script. Brahmi script was used in rest of North India. So you can say North India. So four scripts. Now you know which place which script was used. Here Brahmi was used. Here Kharoshthi was used. And in Afghanistan, Aramaic and Greek were used. Now there is another question associated with this, that which of the following script was most commonly used? Most commonly used script by Samrat Ashok. So you can see Brahmi was spoken in the largest area. So naturally Brahmi was the most commonly used script. So you have to remember this as well. Brahmi. Let's move to next one. So the next question is, who deciphered the Brahmi and Kharoshthi script written on the pillars of Ashoka? So see, Indians were not even aware of their own detailed history. So British archaeologists, they worked on Ashoka pillars, and it is who decoded Brahmi and Kharoshthi script written on Ashoka pillar. But the question is, what was the name of that British officer? Who was that British officer? So the answer is James Prinsep. James Prinsep is the answer. Now who was James Prinsep? He was the president. James Prinsep was the president of Asiatic Society of Bengal. So in his honor, if you have ever visited Kolkata, you will find that on the bank of river Hooghly, there is something known as Prinsep Ghat, river bank. So river bank have been named after him, James Prinsep. So there is Prinsep Ghat. So you remember James Prinsep was the British officer, or you can say British archaeologist, who deciphered Ashokan pillar and Ashokan inscription. So deciphering means what? You are reading that language. So what language or what script was used? Brahmi and Kharoshthi. So you can see, you can have a look here. This is how Kharoshthi looks like. This is Kharoshthi Lipi or Kharoshthi script, and deciphered by James Prinsep. So this means Ja, this means Cha. So if you have to write Cha, Ashokan pillar would have written this 2 times, Cha. So that is how it worked. Anyways, let's move to next one. So the next question is, in which rock edict Ashoka mentions about the casualties of Kalinga war and declares the renunciation of war? So as we discussed that after winning Kalinga war, Ashoka's heart was filled with remorse. He thought that why did I fight such a war? He also decided that from future he will never fight a war. So how do we know this? We know this because it is written in Ashoka's rock edict. So the question is, there are so many rock edicts. So on which rock edict is this interesting information mentioned? It is very important. So the name of the rock edict is Rock Edict 13th rock edict. So let us see, this is the 13th rock edict. Now somebody will ask you that where was this rock edict found? So this rock edict was found in Afghanistan. So in Kandahar is a city in Afghanistan. So it is in that place we get a rock edict, and it is in that rock edict that we find the story of Kalinga War. So now let's move to the next one. The next question is, Ashok Maurya carved out magnificent Barabar caves near Gaya and donated it to the monks of which of the following sects? So let's have a look here. So these are Barabar caves. So Barabar caves are near Gaya. So many pieces of information. That's why we have selected these MCQs carefully. That just by reading these MCQs, half of the chapter would be revised. Fine. For the entire detail you will have to get the course from us. So we have discussed all these things in great detail in our lecture videos. So that's why you visit our course material, you will be well satisfied. Now coming to the question. So Ashoka Maurya made these caves. So where are these caves located? The name of the caves are Barabar caves. So if somebody asks you where are Barabar caves located, you would say near Gaya. Where is Gaya? In Bihar. So exact location is Jahanabad. Jahanabad district of Bihar. So Jahanabad is around like 20-25 kilometers away from Gaya. So Jahanabad district of Bihar. Now coming to the question. So Ashoka got these caves made and he gifted it to monks. Which group of monks he gifted? He himself was Ashoka. When he was a child, he was a Jain. When he became emperor, after Kaling War, he became a Buddhist. Buddhist. So that means he respected many religions. He respected many religions. He gave patronage to many religions. So that is the question. These caves were gifted by Ashoka Maurya to which religious group? Digambar, Swetambar, Ajivaks or Theravada Buddhist? The answer is Ajivakas. So Ajivakas were a separate religious group. So there were many religions, Jainism, Buddhism. So there was also a religion known as Ajivika. Ajivik that time it is an ancient religion. So Ajivikas were basically people who used to leave their homes and they used to spend their entire life in jungle. So Ashok gifted this cave to them and said that why do you live in jungle? You can live in these caves. It will be more comfortable for you. It will give you protection from wild animals as well. So this is the story of Barabar caves. Let's move to next one. So the next question is, what was the name of King Ashoka's eldest son and daughter who went to Ceylon? Ceylon means modern day Sri Lanka. Why did Ashoka's son and daughter go to Sri Lanka? To spread Dhamma. Dhamma means the religious policy of Ashok, which was basically Buddhism. Buddhism. So what was the name of his son and daughter who went to Sri Lanka? So the name was Mahinda and Sanghamitra. So Mahinda was the eldest son and Sanghamitra was the eldest daughter. Now there is a interesting story as well. So when they went to Sri Lanka, as a gift from Ashok, they carried some branches of Bodhi tree. So Bodhi tree was the same tree under which Lord Gautam Buddha, Bhagwan Gautam Buddha received enlightenment. So you have to understand that Bodhi tree can be found at two places today. One is Bodh Gaya in India. The second place is Anuradhapur in Sri Lanka. So Bodhi tree was sent as a gift to Sri Lanka by Ashok. So he sent his son Mahinda and daughter Sanghamitra to spread Buddhism in Sri Lanka. Let's move to next one. So the next question is, there is this book which is considered the oldest historical record of Sri Lanka. So in that book, the story of arrival of Buddhism and the Bodhi tree. I just told you that Bodhi tree was sent to Anuradhapur by Gautam Buddha. So which book, and that book is the oldest historical record of Sri Lanka. So what is the name of that book? So we have four options: Mahavansa, Milind Panho, Anguttar Nikay and Deep Vansa. The answer is Deep Vansha. This is the answer. So Deep means island, and you know that Sri Lanka is an island, so it will be easy for you to remember Deep Vansha. So Deep Vansha is the answer. Let's move to next one. So the next question is, which rock edict mentions the story of Ashoka's visit to Lumbini? What is the significance of Lumbini? Lumbini was Gautam Buddha's birthplace. So Ashoka went to Lumbini as a pilgrimage. And when he went to Lumbini, he announced to the people of Lumbini that out of respect, since you all are the fellow citizens of Gautam Buddha's city, you don't have to pay any taxes to us. So this story is mentioned in which rock edict? So you have four options. The answer is Rumindei rock edict. Rumindei rock edict is the answer. Now where is Rumindei rock edict found? So it is found in Lumbini. Lumbini. So Lumbini is in Nepal. So this rock edict is found in Lumbini only. So this question is, who was the last Mauryan ruler who was assassinated, thereby bringing an end to Mauryan Empire? So how did Mauryan Empire came to an end? Mauryan Empire came to an end when its last ruler Brihadrat. So this is the answer. Brihadrat was assassinated by his own military commander. So Brihadrat's military commander assassinated him. So the name of that military commander was Pushya Mitra Shung. So as soon as Brihadrat was assassinated, he was murdered. Mauryan dynasty came to an end, and this person, Pushyamitra Sung, captured the throne. So he captured the throne. So the name of the last Mauryan ruler is Brihadrat Maurya. Who killed Brihadrat Maurya? Pushyamitra Sung killed Brihadrat Maurya. Who was Pushyamitra Sung? He was the military commander under King Brihadrat. So the next question is, Mauryan dynasty came to an end in 185 BC when last Mauryan ruler Brihadrat was assassinated by his own military commander. What was the name of that military commander? So we just discussed, name of the military commander was Pushyamitra Sung. So many pieces of information here. When did Mauryan dynasty come to an end? In 185 it come to an end. When had it begun? It had begun in 321 BC. It was started by Chandragupta Maurya. Chandragupta Maurya, and it ended when the last ruler was Brihadrat Maurya. So you have to remember all this fact. So when was it ended? In 185 BC. So who was the military commander who killed Brihadrat? Answer is Pushyamitra Sung. So the question is, which of these dynasties replaced were immediate successors of Maurya. I mean, who captured power from Maurya, or you can say who overthrew. So you can say immediate successors means overthrew the Mauryans from the throne. So we just discussed Pushyamitra Sung. So Pushyamitra Shung. So after his name, he started a new dynasty known as Shung dynasty. So Sung dynasty was started in 185 BC. So answer is Shung dynasty. Next question is, which of the following was a port city renowned for copper export and was controlled by Mauryan Empire? So copper export. So answer is hidden here. Copper in Sanskrit means tamr. Tamr. This is a Sanskrit word for copper. So answer is Tamr Lipti. You can see in the name there is Tamr, copper. So if you look at the map, so here is Tamr Lipti on the border of West Bengal and Odisha. So this was an international seaport of that time. So copper was exported from here by Mauryan Empire. So the next question is, Dhamma Mahats were what during the Mauryan Empire? So this term Dham Mahatya used to indicate what? So answer is hidden in the question itself. Mahatya meant minister. Minister. And you know what Dham means? Religion. So Mauryan kings used to appoint ministers to take care of religious affairs, because they used to conduct so many councils, they used to conduct ceremonies, they have to build caves for monks. So there has to be a minister who take care of all these religious activities. So that minister was known as Dham Mahat, or minister of religious affairs. Minister of religious affairs. Now look at the option. So minister of religious officer. So which option is correct? He was a government official. So this is the correct answer, because he was a minister. He was not a monk. He was not a stupa builder. He was not a businessman. He was a government official. So dear students, I hope you would have liked this video, and this video would have definitely helped you. So to as a feedback, as an encouragement, if you have liked this video, please do hit the like button on YouTube, and please hit the subscribe button of Vidya Guru YouTube channel, so that in future whenever we upload any video, you get a prompt notification. You can take advantages of the videos that we keep on uploading. And in case if you are preparing for any government exams, please visit our website once. You will get to know all the courses that we have to offer. You will get to know all the details of minutest of details about the courses that we offer. So with this, I end this video, and we will meet in some other video with some other topic. So if you have any special request, if you want us to make videos on any special topic, please do comment in the bottom of this video in the comment section, and also comment that how much did you score out of 30. I am pretty sure if any Vidya Guru student is taking this test, he would have easily scored 28. So 28 is the ideal score you should score in this quiz. So with that, I end this video.